Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm live. I'm in the studio, so that means you lot, yes, you, need to get involved in the chat and the comments, and make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe, as it says all down there. We want to get to 750,000 subscribers by the end of, well, the season's kind of ending now, isn't it? Let's aim for it by the end of this week. I think we can do that. Let's get to 750,000 subscribers by the end of the week. Loads of stories to get through. Most of them focusing on Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's decision, if you can call it that, with Erik ten Hag. What is happening with Erik ten Hag? We know that there's a few sort of candidates that have been suggested as taking over him. We know there's rumours that there's going to be this review and that he might go, he might not. However, there has been a little bit of an update, which I'm going to get into. Plus, we'll have some player announcements. When I say player announcements, it's more like player statements. It's like players sort of saying things on social media, which we'll get into. But make sure you are getting involved in the chat. Right, let's talk about the latest when it comes to Erik ten Hag and this Ineos review. The Manchester Evening News posted this about, 21 minutes ago. 21 seconds to go. It says here, Manchester United are considering retaining Erik ten Hag's services for next season as their review into this campaign continues. As reported by the MEN, on Monday, the club's FA Cup triumph over City at Wembley means they are not discounting the prospect of keeping the Dutchman. He's under contract for another year and has won 2 trophies in as many seasons at Old Trafford. Ten Hag's future has been the main talking point at Old Trafford in recent weeks, with the club's 8th place finish in the Premier League a mark against his chances of keeping his job. However, Saturday's events at Wembley have potentially boosted his chances of staying at the club. Goes on to say as well, as you can see there, Ipswich town boss Kieran Mckenna is one of the names who has been most heavily linked with the prospects of replacing ten Hag, but he is now reportedly set to stay at Portman Road. Yeah, that's one less, or one fewer strawberries, less cream, option for United if they want to replace Erik ten Hag. You can see the story there on Sky. Kieran Mckenna to stay at Ipswich Town after interest from United, Chelsea, Brighton. He was in demand, wasn't he? Oh, Kieran Mckenna. But it looks like he's going to stay at Portman Road. So that's one fewer manager who could take over. You've still got some other names being bandied about. Thomas Frank, Roberto De Zerbi, and Thomas Tuchel as well seem to be amongst the main candidates. Then there's a little bit of what I would like to sort of label as mischief making, where people I hope it's mischief making, because if it's real, I'm done. Names like Gareth Southgate being suggested, I can't really see that one. However, you know, we never know, do we, with Manchester United, even under this new regime. I'm going to get in some of the comments and we're going to get back into that. Loads of people have commented already. Akash K, James Parker, Phobos Sackelman, Colin Coupleditch, Pete Marshall, all saying hello. C Fence says Erik ten Hag in. Faisal Hussein, Erik ten Hag in. Daniel Berry says, yes, they do need to give Erik ten Hag a new contract. That's been another discussion. Is it not just a case of keeping him? Do you need to give him a new deal? L. Johnson says, Jay, it's 9:54 in New Zealand and I am transfixed by your luminescent cranium. What a beautiful sentence that is. What a lovely comment. Listen, if you follow me on social media or if you've watched this channel before, you know I am very much firmly in the Erik ten Hag in camp. I was in that camp before the FA Cup final, so I'm certainly in it now. I don't want to see Erik ten Hag leave. However, I understand why people are looking at it going, come on, Jay, we lost 14 league games, we lost to Fulham and Bournemouth and Brighton and Palace and all the rest of it, and the football wasn't great this season and we've gone backwards and all those arguments. However, 2 trophies in 2 years. I think it's the first time since 2011 we've done that under the same manager, back-to-back trophies in 2 different seasons. Also, the fact that he has had a lot of injuries. Youngsters are doing well. The youngsters are coming through and doing well for him. I think some of his signings, not all of them have worked out. Look at likes of Rasmus Højlund. Look at likes of Lisandro Martinez, for example. And I still feel like there's a player there in Andre Onana too. I know he's had his critics, but I feel like he's getting better despite that mistake he made in the cup final. I still thought he had a decent game, to be honest. So there's enough for me to want to stick with Erik ten Hag. Now, one of the main reasons I want to stick with ten Hag as well is the other options out there do not inspire me whatsoever. You've got Roberto De Zerbi, who just finished, 11th with Brighton? Did they win, was it 2 out of the last 12 or something? Or it might have even been worse than that. You've got Thomas Tuchel, finished 3rd with Bayern Munich. I mean, it's not the end of the world, is it? But if you're Bayern Munich, you should be doing better than 3rd. Also, didn't really do anything in the cups. I know they got to the semi-final in the Champions League, but they didn't win it, and they didn't win anything domestically. So you can't look at that as a successful season. And you Bayern Munich, when they've won the Bundesliga for the last 11 years in a row, or whatever it is, it's finished third. Pretty poor. Thomas Frank done a decent job at Brentford, but he's finished 16th at Brentford. Does that qualify you for the Manchester United job? I'm not sure it does. So all these names that you're hearing, none of them really make me think, yes, he's the guy to come into Old Trafford and absolutely turn things around. I think you're better off sticking with Erik ten Hag, who's just won your back-to-back trophies, who's shown, despite this season, he's shown he can compete in the Premier League. Last season we finished third, or the season before last, I should say, we finished third. So it's not like both seasons in the Premier League has been a disaster. He's just had a very bad one this season, but the one before was decent. And if you're going to replace him, is the guy that finished 16th with Brentford, the guy that finished 11th with Brighton, the guy that finished third with Bayern Munich. Are those the right options for you? Are those the ones you want? Kieran Mckenna, funnily enough, was probably one of the more favoured candidates. You look at him, you go, okay, he's not managing the Premier League, but he's been at the club before. He's had back-to-back promotions, 38 years old, very young coach. There's a chance he could be the next big thing when it comes to managers. However, he's going to stay at Portman Road. He's not leaving Ipswich. So he's been taken off the table, and you're left with the names that I've mentioned, and then one or two others who are even less inspiring, the likes of which is Gareth Southgate. So let me know what you think, because I put this on Twitter before, on my own Twitter, and there was a lot of people going back and forth. We've done a poll. Are you Erik ten Hag in? Yes, say 93%. No, say 7%. Sorry? Wow, sorry. Producer Ethan there says, wow. Pretty emphatic. That's one of the most emphatic polls we've ever had, because you know what United fans are like, and I'm as guilty as everyone. We don't agree on anything. In fact, it's just gone up to 94%. So it does seem like he's very, very popular amongst the Manchester United fan base, Erik ten Hag. And I'd imagine he's relatively popular with the players as well. You've seen the scenes at Wembley. I know not everyone gets on with him, and you saw what happened with Jadon Sancho, you saw what happened with Cristiano Ronaldo. But if you saw those scenes with the likes of Garnacho, with the likes of Lisandro Martinez, with the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, there's a team there that are playing for this manager. Now, whenever a manager's been sacked, the biggest criticism of him has been he's lost the dressing room. We were talking about this on the Paddock podcast yesterday. You can accuse Erik ten Hag of a lot of things, but I don't think you can accuse him of losing the dressing room. These players are fighting for him. These players are playing for him. Tactically, he may have let himself down at several occasions this season, more than several, but he got it right at Wembley, and the players turned up for him. And I think there's enough green shoots there to carry on with this manager. Let me know what you think. Michael Arthur says Erik ten Hag out. Fine. Who would you want to see coming in then? Let me know. I've mentioned the managers that we've been linked with. None of them fill me with confidence. Is there anyone else I've missed? Glenn F says, well said, Jay. Adam Kenny says, let's do a poll. Do we agree on anything? I say no. Let's have a look. Mick Holohan says, morning, Jay and chat. What I don't get, says he believes in the youth. Erik ten Hag in. That's an important part. People talk about the Manchester United DNA. It's this overused phrase. It's United DNA, United way and all that. The only sort of consistent thread for United's history, going through sort of pre-Busby or Busby through to Fergie through to modern day, has been our affiliation with the academy. It has been the fact that since 1920s or whatever, we've always had a player from the academy in the matchday squad. The styles and the tactics and everything else has been different, but we have always had this strong connection to our academy. And Erik ten Hag gets that. The two players that scored at Wembley on Saturday were from the academy. He gives youth a chance. He didn't wait too long with Kobbie Mainoo. I thought he handled Kobbie Mainoo well. I know he got injured against Real Madrid in pre-season, but he brought Kobbie Mainoo into the team when Kobbie Mainoo was ready, and he's been a very effective player for Erik ten Hag. And I think he knows how to handle youth, the importance that youth can play, and I think that's vital at Manchester United, and that's what we're about. So I'm Erik ten Hag in. Jesus Christ, I don't know if it's the actual Jesus Christ, says, is it a coincidence that the moment Erik ten Hag has his desired lineup, we absolutely outclass the supposed greatest team and manager in the world? I don't think it is a coincidence. Listen, you can blame injuries to a certain degree, yeah? I think that's fair. We've had a lot of injuries. Luke Shaw's missed, I think, over half the season. Lisandro Martinez has basically missed almost the entire season. Varane's missed half the season. Then you've had other players who've missed like little spells here and there. Højlund missed a bit of the season. You had Mason Mount missed a big chunk of the season. He was a bit of a marquee signing. Casemiro's been injured, one or two others as well. Harry Maguire came into the side, then he got injured. Johnny Evans came into the side, then he got injured. Tyrone Malassia's been injured the entire campaign. So we have missed players. I think we've had more injuries than anyone else in the Premier League. So it is a valid argument, but it's not the only argument. You have to go, okay, we've had injuries, but we still should be able to beat Bournemouth at home. Certainly not lose 3-0. We still should be able to beat Fulham at home, beat Crystal Palace at home, beat Brighton at home. I get all that. but I do feel like there are mitigating circumstances, and we've seen, and he's been arguing this. He argued it after the game with Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker. Look, if I've got a fully strength team, this team can perform. It can do bits against anyone. I've had loads of injuries, though. That has been the problem. And it's not just the volume of injuries, it's the players that have been missing. Lisandro Martinez is so important to this team. It really is. Now, yes, United might have to work out a way that we can still function and challenge when Lisandro Martinez is injured. I get that. But you can't ignore the fact that he's so important and we've missed him for so long. So Jimmy says, if Erik Ten Hag is sacked, it's not a good like for Ineos. I think they'll lose a little bit of support amongst the fan base. I think they'll be coming into the job on the wrong footing. We'll start the new season by getting rid of a manager who, as this poll indicates, is pretty popular, although it has shifted slightly. It's only 80% now. Oh, it's a new poll, that's why. Do you think Ineos will still Erik Ten Hag? Sorry, it's a new poll. 80% saying yes. It's quite strong, that. I think if you'd have asked that on Friday, it would have been 50-50, maybe even 60-40 in favour of getting rid. Now it seems that a lot of people feeling that Ineos will stick with him. I don't know, I have a sneaky feeling they'll get rid. I hope I'm wrong. I couldn't be more Erik Ten Hag in if I tried. Let's have a look what else is being said here. Rune says, not worried about his choice on Alvaro being sold. Alvaro Fernandez, gone to Benfica. He didn't fancy him, did he? If he fancied him, he would have used him this season when we had all them injuries. So it's a little bit disappointing. But the trouble you've got with academy players, man, I'm the most guilty person when it comes to this of anyone. You look at academy players, you see him in the academy team and they look mint, and you go, right, he can do a job for the first team. And a lot of them come into the first team, they'll get cameos, whatever, and they do well. They'll do something, you go, yeah, look, he's full of beans, he's got the energy, he's got great on the ball, he's got everything you want. But there's a difference between playing for Manchester United and playing for Manchester United's academy. Look at someone like Charlie Savage, look at someone like Zidane Iqbal. You saw them in the academy, brilliant. You saw them playing pre-season, brilliant. They didn't get a chance, really, in the first team. You think, why? I remember questioning why Kobbie Mainoo seemed to leapfrog them both when it came to chances in the first team. He was on the bench and in the squad when they weren't at one point, when they'd done so well in pre-season and they'd done so well for the academy. It's because you can see the difference. There's a big, big step up from playing for the academy and playing for Manchester United first team. And Erik Ten Hag, he sees these lads in training. He knows what they're about. He obviously made a decision with Alvaro Fernandez. And I wish Fernandez well, and who knows, maybe we'll see him in the future. But at the minute, he's at Benfica, and it's not a bad club to go to, is it? Discombobulate says, I like De Zerbi, but he's basically Conte. He'll stay for a couple of seasons, then we'll get sacked for being outspoken. Yeah, he doesn't stick around long. He doesn't. I think 2 seasons is roughly his average. In fact, his average. I think this is probably his maximum. I mean, there's mitigating circumstances. I think he was at Shakhtar when the war with Ukraine kicked off. That's not his, or war in Ukraine kicked off, and that's not his fault. But he's never stayed anywhere that long. He's 44. I think he's had about 7 clubs, and the longest he's been at one is about 3 years. So he's not someone you'd actually look at and go, he's a long-term option, despite his relative youth. However, he does play football a nice way. That might be what is appealing to Manchester United. Akash K, I've just lost that. I think he was saying, do you give Erik Ten Hag a new contract? I think he said a 3-year deal, if I've got that one right. I wouldn't mind him getting a new deal. I wouldn't mind the club saying, look, we're going to give him an extension. We're going to back him fully. He's our guy. I think that would silence a lot of doubters and sort of would be able to move forward and think, okay, this is our manager. He's going to be here for the long haul. Let's get on with him. I just don't see it happening. I think if he does stay, I don't think he'll get a new deal. I think they'll just say, right, you've got another year left on your contract. We're not sacking you. Because let's not forget, that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about just sticking with him. We're talking about sacking him. His contract isn't up this summer. If it was, it'd be a different conversation because you're saying, are they going to give him a new deal? The question is, are they going to get rid of the deal he's got? Are they just going to say, right, that's your lot, you're not seeing out your deal, you're gone? Let me know what you think. Wayne Davies says, Harry Hamas has a higher ceiling than Alvaro Fernandez. That's why he was let go, Harry Hamas. I think he's just turned 17. Very highly regarded young left-back in the academy, so we'll have to wait and see. Dana says the contract can wait till New Year. Should we talk about some other stuff? We mentioned Mckenna. There's been a few statements. Andy Martial is gone. He's done a little statement. I think we posted this last night on the Stretford Paddock socials. He's left the club. We knew he was going to. His contract came to an end. Not been a great couple of years, has it, for Andy Martial? I mean, in all honesty, it's not been great for about, 3 years, has it? Since he had that 23-goal season with us. I mean, he went on loan to Sevilla. That was a complete disaster. He came back. He got a little bit of a lifeline under Erik Ten Hag. Played in pre-season, looked good. Then got an injury. I think he got an injury against Atletico Madrid in Norway. Came back into the team, started scoring goals. I think at one point his ratio per 90 minutes was one of the best in the league. He kept scoring when he was given an opportunity, but then he got injured. And I felt like the end of last season when he was injured for the FA Cup final, that was his last chance to have any sort of happy ending, in his United career. I mean, if you look there, the stats, 90 goals in 317 appearances for United. I mean, it's okay. It's not abysmal, and there's been some good seasons and good moments during that. You think of his debut against Manchester United, plays for Manchester United, his debut against Liverpool, the game against Everton in the FA Cup semi-final, that last-minute winner, the hat-trick, I think, against Sheffield United, the goals I mentioned under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, goal against Manchester City, of course, a few goals against Manchester City, but by and large, when you look to Anthony Martial, what he's capable of, the talent he had, the youth, the youth he showed, how young he was when he arrived at Old Trafford, I'll be honest with you, I expected a bit more. I didn't think by the time he's 28, he'd be leaving Manchester United, having scored less than 1 in 3. So, slightly disappointing, but there has been some good memories. I wish him well. Luke Shaw has been fighting back. He's been hitting back at the critics because he's been criticised, I think, on socials, because people are saying, oh, right, he's not been fit for United for the back end of the season, wasn't available for the Cup final, but he's going to play for England in the Euros. Now, he doesn't know if he is going to play for England in the Euros. I'll get to the Marcus one in a minute. Sorry, I've gone the wrong way around, but we'll talk about Luke Shaw and then we'll go back to the Marcus. Excuse me. So, Luke Shaw says, there's nothing I want to do more than play and win with United. I don't normally react to things I see on social media, but there's a lot of people questioning my loyalty to this club and asking how I am fit for England but not United. The reality is, I am not 100% fit for either right now, but I am doing everything I can and constantly working to be fit. I have been at this club for 10 years through highs and lows, and for anyone to question my loyalty is obviously frustrating. My biggest focus right now is being fit, and then whatever happens this summer, I will be ready. It is annoying, right, when players aren't fit for United and then they are fit for their country. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, you get frustrated. But we have to remember, that unless you're in a Christopher Nolan film, time is linear. Like, you cannot be fit during the season and then get fit during the summer and then be fit for the Euros. That is a thing that can happen. It's not like it's the other way around. It's not like he's saying, all right, you know what I mean, like that, oh, I wasn't fit and now I was fit and now I'm not, or whatever. That's what's happening with his injuries. That's what's happened with all injuries. Eventually, your injury gets better and you're fit as time progresses. And time is progressing towards the Euros. Now, it's annoying, it's frustrating. Do I honestly think Luke Shaw didn't want to play in the FA Cup final? No, I don't think that. I think he probably did. I just don't think he was fit. And I don't think he's been fit for about 4 years. And I don't think for the past 4 years, I know he had a decent return last season, I think it was 47 games. But over the last 4 years, I think he's missed half the games. Do I think he's missed half those games because he's saving himself for the Euros? No. I just think he's a bit injury prone, if I'm being brutally honest. I think his injury record's not great. So you can criticise Luke Shaw, and he does have his critics about his consistency and his energy and his effort and all the rest of it. I don't think he's just decided, I don't fancy it. I don't. I just think he's just injured. I do. You might disagree. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Peter Kenny says, Shaw should not go to the Euros and focus on getting fit for United. If he doesn't, he should be shipped out. That's another thing, isn't it? Well, he should focus on getting fit for United. If he's fit for the Euros, if he's genuinely fit, then he can play. I've not got a problem with that. I don't think if you're fit for the Euros, you say, well, I shouldn't risk it really, because I should just wait till I'm ready for United. Well, if you're ready, you're ready. I don't have a problem with, how old is Luke Shaw? 28. A 28-year-old playing for England. It doesn't matter how old you are, but he's not got many tournaments left, has he? So if he's fit enough to play for England, then do it. My only worry about Luke Shaw is, if he plays well for England, that doesn't usually translate to him playing well for United. He had a bit of a stinker after the Euros last time, in that season where Ole got sacked. And he was one of England's best players. He's probably the best left-back in the world, arguably, at that time. Certainly in Europe. He was smashing it. And then he came back and he didn't kick on. Jesus Christ is back in the chat. He says, Cobbett, Garner, Kambwala, Amas, Collier, Wheatley, Erik Ten Hag building a new class of 92. We have to stick with this man. We have to. Anonymous saying he might be rushing himself for the Euros. He might be. He might be, but I don't know. It's all, conjecture. Let's have a look at what Marcus has said. It just seems like every United player's got something to say in a minute. He's another one who's sort of pushing back on some criticism. He said, "It's time to come off socials for a few weeks. I plan to rest and reset mentally after a challenging season individually and collectively. Thanks to the fans that stood by me through a difficult period. To the ones that didn't, just remember at United, we always stick together." I get it. I get why he's sort of, thanking the fans and then saying, well, you didn't stick with me, just try and remember that. If I was in charge of his social media, I'm not, I probably wouldn't have put the ones about the line about the ones that didn't. I'd probably just said, thanks for all the fans that stood by me through a difficult period, and I'd ended it there. I don't really think you need to, start antagonising more people, but I get it, he's frustrated. He's had a difficult season, he's had a lot of stick. It's getting to the point now where even if you stick up for Marcus Rashford, even if you congratulate him, people send for you. They start attacking you. It's just getting a bit silly. I like Marcus Rashford. I want him to come back in after the summer and be the player that we know he can be. I don't think he's going to get sold. I don't think we lose Martial. Mason Greenwood do expect to go, maybe Palestri, possibly even Anthony, and Marcus. I don't see you losing all those players. I think Marcus Rashford will be a Manchester United player next season, and I hope he plays as well as he can for Manchester United. That's what I want to see. So go and get yourself rested, get reset mentally, and hopefully come back and help Manchester United challenge for the top honours, Marcus Rashford. That's what I want to see. You may disagree, and by all means get involved in the chat and the comment and let me know what you think. I know Marcus Rashford is not exactly the most popular person amongst the Manchester United fan base, but I will always support him. I'll criticise him his performances, but also get behind him. It's possible to do both. Let's talk about some transfers, some incomings. Man United hatch 60 million defender transfer plan. A Sir Jim Ratcliffe player targeted. It's interesting. So I think this is about Marc Guehi from Palace, who is a very, very good defender. He's had a very good career, and Marc Guehi. He was in the England team, the under-17s that won. It was at the World Cup. The Phil Foden team. Everyone was like, Phil Foden's going to be the next big thing. I think he was captain of that team. Obviously, I think he went on loan. He was at Chelsea. I think he went on loan to Swansea. Played a lot of games for them. Then he went to Palace. Done really well there. And he's been linked with Manchester United. And he's a very good defender, and I would not mind him at all. The issue with this is we've also been linked with Michael Olise. Do I see us doing a double swoop for two Palace players? Probably not. It's very, very rare you buy two players from the same team, especially two players from the same team in the Premier League. I mean, it could happen, but I doubt it. Also, this is in the evening news, but via the Telegraph. We've been linked with Jean-Claire Todibo. We've been linked with him for ages, haven't we? He's 24 years old, French international. He's got a couple of French caps. He's at Nice, so the idea there is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe could probably just get on the phone and tell Nice he's selling him to us. End of. I don't know whether we will get him, but he's obviously a very talented young lad. Done well at Nice. Been linked with United for a long time. I don't know how much the Sir Jim Ratcliffe thing comes into it. Perhaps it does, perhaps it doesn't. I've seen a Newcastle website saying that United might not go into Europe because Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns a bit of Nice and a bit of Manchester United, and I've not seen it anywhere else. I think it was a load of nonsense, to be fair. I think it was just some Newcastle fan sort of clutching at straws or just doing a bit of mischief making. Akash K says Guehi will cost 80 to 90 million. We cannot spend 80 to 90 million on a defender this summer. Just forget it. Yeah, forget that. Rooney says overrated AF, failed miserably at Barca. Can players fail at Barca though and get better? Because when was he at Barca? Let's have a look. He was at Barca 5 years ago. And how old is he? He's 24. So he was, maths is my strong point. He was 19 at the time. Is it a bit harsh to say, well, he failed miserably at Barca, that's the end of that? I don't know, you might have seen enough of him at Barca to have made your mind up, but I think players can get better. Who else have we got here? This is a name that rolls off the tongue. Man United, Chelsea and Tottenham chasing Birmingham sensation Menzi Mazwi. The 18-year-old attacking midfielder is out of contract this summer, despite being yet to feature for the first team. All right, okay. Well, that took a turn for the worst, didn't it? Right. So, despite the fact he's never played for the first team, he's highly rated. both within the club and externally. He's that highly rated within the club. They've not put him in the first team. Yeah, that fills me with confidence. I don't know a lot about this kid. Where's this? Is this Football Insider saying that he could be coming to Manchester United? Also, he's linked with Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig. It's all happening for him. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Let us know what you think. If you know much about him, I don't. I'm going to wrap it up there. We're going to be back later on today. We've got Uncensored with Adam McCullough and Mr. Joe Smith. So make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I'm Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.